out of Sacramento, what's gonna stick?
Yeah.
And what do people want to like grow?
Absolutely. I think this was one thing that we've seen today a lot of is Armarouge, Indeedee, Gallade cores. Those have been popping up like crazy today. We've also seen, I've seen a lot of water Ogerpon. I'm starting to feel like Ogerpon Wellspring's starting to creep up and become the most popular.
Feels like it. I know the Day 2 Sacramento Hearthflame was still more popular,
Yeah.
but like the Kingambit Ogerpon Wellspring core seems to just kind of be like the new balance team that is just popping up all over the place. It's consistent to a lot of things,
Yeah.
right? So.
So cool.
Yeah.
But I think Ogerpon, we were talking about this earlier and while in between matches, it's the most splashable Pokemon. You could put whatever form on, like especially the Wellspring and Hearthflame, both are just really nice to add onto whatever team you need.
Yeah.
They have filled so many roles that it just is a really, really easy addition to any team. Kind of like how Iron Hands was in previous formats.
Yeah, and then you can also just build the rest of the core around it because like the Grassy Glide stuff is like, there's a lot of options that you can do.
Follow Me, double Grassy Glide if you partner with Rillaboom. Tons and tons and tons of options. Swords Dance I've seen a few of, especially on Hearthflame.
Yeah.
So, and it's especially nice too because we have seen, I feel like Urshifu Rapid Strike is still very, very common, and that Follow Me on Wellspring form is so scary for any Urshifu player.
It's certainly threatening.
Yeah.
But then it becomes an interesting mind game because it's like,
absolutely.
if you're Ogerpon, kind of a offensive powerhouse, do you want to be clicking Follow Me?
Yeah.
It's interesting, right? But it's definitely quite powerful, especially close to an end game.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And that's what I've seen a couple actually today. Poison type Terra, Urshifu Rapid Strike. I think a lot of those specifically for, well, Urshifu, I'm sorry, for Ogerpon, Wellspring, Flutter Mane, just to basically give it that longevity.
Yeah. I'm having PTSD to my
I know.
Urshifu
No, I'm
encounters.
like, it's like Como-O body press. It's like, oh, I'm fine, it's just Urshifu, and then it Terra poisons. And they're like, oh, dang it.
Yeah, and the Como stuff. I would have expected. Was anyone else? I know you were running it.
I was running Como. I think there's one other Como.
Okay.
But
I mean, it's like physical meta.
You just iron defense into,
Yeah.
and you get complete immunity essentially if you Terra Steel after Flutter Mane because of even Terra Fairy Choice Specs Moonblast I think still does under half, or like good like I think maybe 40%, and then you get leftovers recovery. But we've got our teams ready to go here, and they are setting up. You're going to see Brian on the left side, or right side here. Nicholas going to be on the left side as they set up their teams. And it's interesting, we were also, if you're watching out there, tomorrow got another Premier Challenge, same place, same time. So it'll be interesting to see the comparison, because I don't know the last time we've done 2 back-to-back tournaments to see what's working on day 1 versus what's working on day 2. So
I'm excited for this matchup. I think they faced in Swift, so we'll see if Nicholas has any adjustment. Guessing Brian. Looks like it's that Wellspring. Solid, bulky, balanced board.
We've been seeing that a lot of places. That's exactly what we're talking about.
I don't know if there's any other like boss on that, but yeah.
I think it's kind of the standard. It's Life Orb, Heatran.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. And there you go on the left side. There's Nicholas's team: Kingambit, Landorus, Therian, Ogerpon, Wellspring, Iron Hands, Heatran, and Amoonguss. Right side is Brian's team. It's Armarouge, Indeedee, Torkoal, Urshifu, normal Ursaluna, and Gallade, which is basically the 2 cores we were talking about and how they're popping up everywhere.
Yeah. Got Mental Herb on a Moon.
It does.
Play, unfortunately.
That was what in the last match when I was playing against Nicholas, I was like, oh, I can taunt it. It's gonna Spore Como-O, and then I could just taunt it again. It's a risk because and he called that right. He was able to spore out, and if you play your taunts right, it could be you could play around it, but really tough there.
Go.
And you got Brian with that Urshifu single strike form and armor. This is a very good. I think it's a solid lead hit for Brian. On Nicholas' side, it's got Ogerpon, Wellspring, and Heatran. I think right now your focus is getting the Armarouge. There's a few things you can do, but it is Terra Psychic, and Urshifu puts a lot of pressure on both because of the elite, if I'm not mistaken, it's Choice Scarf and Wicked Blow. And that just is scary. It hits so much.
Okay, we got the fairy. That's interesting. It loses a steal. Should gonna be Candy versus Commanding Force, but drive this turn. Is that yes?
I think possibly trying to avoid that close combat from that Urshifu. We do see that Terra Psychic removes the that water weakness from Ogerpon, and that's going to definitely help it. We see U-turn coming out. That's a pretty solid play, especially if you want to bring in Indy and get those expanding forces going.
Gonna be a big ol'... Gonna do a lot of damage.
Question is, did the Ogerpon and Heatran double up on the Armarouge and stop it from setting up Trick Room? I think that's going to be the important call here. There's that Ivy coverage.
Is pretty... That's bulky generally. That's over half.
Terra Blast was a good call, expecting that. Onto the Indeedee! It still does a lot of damage.
Still does.
Yeah, and an expanding force.
The Heatran has 600 BSP, pretty bulky. Not bulky enough.
I think that was a good play on Brian's call.
Yeah.
Or good call on Brian's play there. I mean, because you do see the Life Orb on Heatran, so you're already like, you know what? If it's Life Orb Heatran, odds are it's not gonna be able to take this. And looking at these next two coming in, it's not a good matchup against Armarouge. Here you have Amoonguss and Kingambit, both weak to fire, and Amoonguss also weak to psychic, and neither of them can terrestrialize.
So I'm trying to think of an endgame. I mean, there was a world. Obviously, Brian could click the but there was a world I think where like it's a Kowtow leave off on something, but it's hard to stop it.
I don't really know if you want to set up Trick Room right away because
he's just getting the off the board.
Yeah, most likely.
Saying, trade the Armarouge. It's fine.
Ooh, if this targets the Amoonguss, then we may see one of the two psychic types go down.
Heat Wave, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe those are his two attacks. Heat Wave, White Guard.
And there goes Kingambit. Well, Brian definitely takes this game. Not much Amoonguss can do.
I forget, was that? I didn't catch it. Was that an AV Kingambit?
I believe this Kingambit is Black Glass's Sword Dance.
Okay.
And I'm really expecting Expanding Force here. Yeah, no surprise. Brian able to take a nice win there against Nicholas's team. I think if you're Nicholas, you kind of adjust. But that lead, the really tough part about the team Brian's running is the leads are so interchangeable. You have Indeedee and Armarouge, Indeedee, Gallade, Gallade and Armarouge, Urshifu in the mix with any of those. It's so flexible that it's really, really hard to predict what the lead is, and I think that's one of the most crucial parts in this format is you kind of have to plan your leads and your Terras ahead more than any other format. And if you're not prepped for, because there's so many options, if you're not prepped for it, it just can fall apart there. So
yeah, and it's pretty tough too, especially with the I like the, or maybe starting Reg D, but the innovation where you bring a Scarf Dark Shifu, right, and then forces you to be like, well, they outspeed me, so do I want to try to outspeed them in some way? Is there anything I can bring to do that? But then it might not matter because they just trick room anyway. So it's like, does Scarf Lando even feel good here? Like, probably not, but like, something better.
I don't think Scarf Lando, well, I don't.
I'm not sure what it adds here.
I don't think the same lead was the right call, but maybe if you don't Terra to Fairy right away.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if you had Terra to Fairy and targeted the Armarouge, the double up, because I don't think it has Protect at first.
I believe it's got Wide Guard, it does not have Protect. Yeah. So you could just Terra Blast, Ivy Cudgel it, but Indeedee and Gallade. Gallade is going to pose a bit of a threat. The nice thing with Gallade, it's very physically frail. The unfortunate part here is you're partnering it with Indeedee, and you could go for the Follow Me Trick Room, or you could go for the Wide Guard Trick Room. There's so many different options for Gallade and Indeedee that it's kind of a 50-50 match if you're not 100% certain on what you're going to do. Unfortunately, Ogerpon goes first as well. Ideally, you would want the Heatran to go first to get rid of the Indeedee with some sort of move if it could. I think right now you kind of just hope that they don't Wide Guard and you go for a double up. Yeah,
it's tough because Heatran's going to go second, even if like an Ivy Cudgel crits DD and kills it.
Yeah.
It's still a special attack into Galley, which is 115 to death. So
Yeah, that.
yeah, and here's especially tough because now there's a something, right?
Yeah, and if it's Armor Rouge, that's pretty scary, especially. Oh, Psycho Cut on the Ogerpon, not a Trick Room, but the Psycho Cut, the Ogerpon is able to live that. And
but now it's like, let's see.
Interesting. I think there's one really interesting play here, and that is to double Trick Room. One's going down, one's not. I feel like, because if they go, it's a tough one, but I think if you do, you can either double up on the Armor Rouge and then Trick Room with Gallade, or maybe have Gallade. I just think, honestly, just clicking double Trick Room is probably the call here, because you know they're going to focus on one, and if you're Brian, so you're thinking, okay, if I double Trick Room, one of my two goes down, I set it up for the last mon, and I could just sweep with whatever my last Pokemon, which is, I'm guessing, either Torkoal or Ursaluna, because you didn't see the Urshifu right away. So I think here and we are going to see that Terrestrial. That is, I believe, the Fairy Terrestrial first on Heatran. Wouldn't be surprised if we see Armor Rouge also Terrestrial to Psychic. In fact, I think it has to if it really wants to.
Just to survive that.
Yeah. And there you go. Yeah.
I mean, it has a chance here to tricky because Overcon's going first. It could knock out Gallade.
I think it'll do about 80.
Armor Rouge can go on and just attack. I mean, it could just attack.
There's that Ivy Cudgel. Yeah, okay, around 60.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. Like I said, if you're Brian, you're like, okay, they're gonna double up on one of my two.
Yeah.
There's no way that they can knock both out really, and so if Gallade went for Trick Room here, that's gonna be really useful.
Like you said, I think there was a double.
Oh, a Sacred Sword coming out on the Heatran, that Terra to Fairy. Oh, okay, that is why we didn't see the Trick Room. Urshifu in play now. Oof. That's not good.
A lot of speed advantage right now on Brian's side.
Yeah.
So, let's see.
This is a bit unfortunate because this Urshifu cannot really hit the Heatran very much damage at all. Your best bet is to go to a Psycho Cut on onto the Heatran, but I believe Heatran goes first. Could go for that Heat Wave, and there's a Follow Me.
But I think the Wicked will knock that out first, and then so remember, Psyblade gets Darkness and Psychic, and it's just.
Question is, does the Gallade move first?
Yeah.
No, and that Terra Blast connects with that 4 times weak Urshifu. That is going to knock it out, and now it is Gallade versus the world here. Yeah, I think Brian's kind of not necessarily slip up, but what I would have done if I was Brian. Oh, okay. Well, you do get the knockout on the Heatran, but it's a half health Gallade with 2 resources. Yeah, if you. Yeah, at this point you're pretty safe to go for a Kowtow Cleave and Rage Powder and kind of just end it. And I believe it's Clear Amulet, so that Follow Me should have no Rage Powder should have no problem getting that guy to redirect to Amoonguss here. I think what
Interesting.
Okay, at least they checked for the Psychic terrain. Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, that's the call.
Yeah.
I think what Brian needed to do in this game here in game 2 was to just go for that Trick Room. I think if you go into Torkoal, it's a relatively smart play. I think. And there we go. There is Nicholas taking game number 2. But I think for me, if I was Brian, I would go with a really either some effective way to set up Trick Room and then have Torkoal sweep and bring in Ursaluna specifically for Heatran, because I believe that a Facade will knock out the Terra Fairy Heatran.
Yep.
And if not, you've got either Earthquake or Headlong Rush to get rid of.
It's the Life Orb Heatran, so they usually have at least 150 EV's special attack, and then it was like you said, just saw it was after Gallade, so saw me there. So like, yeah, I think that's Life Orb.
So you should be fine if you Cyber Trick Room and then just hit it with Ursaluna. I think wouldn't be surprised if we see the same lead, but I do think that's a smarter lead for Nicholas. I think only thing you gotta watch out for is that.
Yeah. Ogerpon has an goal.
I think you gotta watch out. The only thing really you gotta watch out for if this is the lead is, well, you gotta watch out for Gallade or Armor or both. I think both can.
Gallade? Scary here. I was never gonna move first.
It does put the pressure to keep the Trick Room not going up on Brian's side because Kingambit is slower than Gallade and Armarouge.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we saw in the last match was really the reason that Brian wasn't able to pick up a win there.
Yeah.
And there's the leads we are going to see.
Definitely going to be a bigger focus on setting up Trick.
Yeah. I think right now, you gotta Terra that if you want Trick Room up, and then you can go for. I would probably go for close combat on either probably Kingambit because I would be pretty confident that can knock out. You may not even want to go for that. I think you have to Terra Dark here if you're Kingambit because Urshifu can one-hit KO you and then Indeedee gets that Trick Room up. That's another smart play. I mean, Indeedee was at risk there, so not bad.
I mean, if Kingambit has base 120 defense, period, you know, not a band or. I'm curious on what has offer in this ball because obviously the big threat is just close combat, especially if you have a Dark Shifu who's facing down. Kingambit, Terra type is still weak. Fighting. Okay, well there it is. Yeah,
that did
count.
Yeah, that was a really important calculation. I think. The Heat Wave is going to come out. It does activate Armarouge's Flash Fire. I don't think it matters though because this Terra Dark Kowtow Cleave. Oh, missed on the Urshifu. That may come into play.
See what happens. Heatran is gonna have single target spread damage.
I don't know if it's gonna.
See if Heat Wave misses, right? Because that's the classic.
Well, it's Heat Wave. If it doesn't hit 100% of the time, it hits 50% of the time.
Oh, wait.
I think
you already did that.
Oh. I think this is not looking good for Brian right now. You can get rid of the Heatran, and you can get rid of both here. But here's the thing: this is the important and very, very important call. Can Urshifu one-hit KO Heatran? I think that's the important because Gallade's most likely going to hit the Kingambit. If that doesn't work, then you get a free Heat Wave. I wouldn't even be surprised to see Wide Guard, but then you're probably going to lose Gallade to a Kowtow Cleave. So.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's a threat of a move back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think that one's a little...
Yeah. So that close combat, knocking out the Heatran. I think now Brian that was what Brian needed. That was what Brian needed. And the Sacred Sword knocks out the Kingambit. So now you have a bit more pressure on the field, especially with that Amoonguss in the back, because that Amoonguss being with the Psycho Cut, not fun. Just iffy one here.
Now we have Rage Powder, Follow Me.
It's like, which one's gonna go for it?
Huh.
Yeah, I think Brian's in a really good position here.
Yeah.
That knocking out, but here's the thing, it is locked onto close combat. So I think your best bet is to go for that Ivy Cudgel onto Gallade, hope for the best, and Rage Powder. Because you will probably, Gallade, if you knock out the Gallade, you're locking that Urshifu into close combat. There's also a good chance that Urshifu switches out here to Indeedee. So, like, the only call, I think, is to go for that Ivy Cudgel and hope.
He's resetting his defenses.
And also giving that Choice Scarf a new move once it come back in.
Yeah.
Very good call there on the Amoonguss Protect.
Let's see.
Come close.
Even if it kills,
that Psycho Cut was definitely needed. I think it's still not a guarantee here.
Follow me stuff.
Yeah, literally every single Pokemon on the field's gonna follow me. I think here, Yeah, I think he followed. Yeah, I just need to spore one of them.
I don't believe there's any safety on the field. Right?
I don't think so at the moment. I believe it's. I want to say it's Rocky Helmet in DD and then Clear Amulet on Gallade. I think here's the iffy part. It's a Psychic Terrain boosted Psycho Cut onto your only attacker. Indeed, goes for the follow me. If the Ogerpon lives, it still would be iffy, but it's good.
Yeah. Or Psycho that has a high chance. Okay.
It did live.
So, I mean,
I think that's not bad at all. I think you're pretty obvious.
Gallade is sacrifice.
You have to just get out of it. I think
that buys a turn, right?
Oh yeah.
This might for Pollen Puff inside.
Ivy Cudgel Gallade. This may come down to some sleep turns with the Indeedee. I think if you could get rid of that Urshifu, that's it. It's most likely going to go to Wicked Blow. I don't see any reason to go any other move.
Not sure Scarf Urshifu.
I don't think so.
Probably not the time that you want to crit.
One more turn earlier would have been nice, right?
Yeah.
That Pollen Puff is gonna help a bit. Definitely was the right call. And Psychic Terrain being gone, it's not really gonna matter here, but
priority.
Yeah. I think you go for either Ivy Cudgel or Horn Leech to heal up.
Probably do a little bit under half.
Basically, you need to hope that if you're Nicholas, you hope that this Urshifu does not one-hit KO your Amoonguss right now.
That thing is definitely the possibility. Got Sleep, the helping hand.
Yep.
And that, I think, might be better.
And that's all you need. And if that Indeedee wakes up, because it is the second turn now, it's been the slur, that would be very important. Leaves is
dark.
We'll say it is. Okay, so it is dark, so it's gonna. That's not good for the Amoonguss.
Womp.
And the Indeedee wakes up. Oh, with the follow me. That is not what you needed. That luck. Like, I'm curious. I don't think Ivy Cudgel would have one-hit KO'd the Urshifu unless it crit.
Yeah, but it's one of those high crit moves. That's a little scary.
Yeah, I believe it's not mistaken. One in. Oh, it did crit, and the Amoonguss actually lives it.
I don't think.
And Indeedee crits.
This is why that follow me.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Amoonguss really want. This is tricky.
This is a very
tough spot for. Information on the field. We know what Urshifu.
Yeah, that's the nice thing.
Indeed has options. Probably doesn't. The helping hand anything.
No. He just following
Urshifu alive.
Yeah. I think Brian's gonna pick this one up here. This Wicked Blow definitely one turn of sleep. I think that really made a giant difference because if that Indeedee did not go for the follow me and you were able to chip that Urshifu, that may have done it. But and the Ivy Cudgel does knock out the Indeedee. It's gonna come down to Wicked Blow. Wicked Blow is able to do enough, which it should, and Brian's gonna be able to pick this one up. If not, Ivy Cudgel crit chance.
Yeah, I mean you go for it, right?
Yep.
But be different. Yeah.
There's that Wicked Blow, picking up the knockout, and Brian Collins is the Premier Challenge champion. Ooh. Very well played match between the two. It was a close one at the end there.
Yeah. You tell Nicholas definitely thought about the sets, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Great adjustments from both players, I think. Kind of realizing what was working, what wasn't working.
Right, and I think Brian also recognized that there were adjustments that made the matchup a lot closer. He made some reads in game 2 that didn't pan out, but definitely very good adjustments on that.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to point out It's real. Just to point out how scary that Galley team is, it did not Trick Room very much at all.
Yeah.
That second or third game was won with that Urshifu being out of Trick Room. It's so unpredictable. And same thing goes for the Balance team with the Heatran. Is it going to Terra Teferi? Is it not? Is it going to go for Terra Blast? So many 50-50 calls. It's becoming kind of a trend in this format. I'm excited to see how it develops a bit more. Obviously, we just had Sacramento Regionals, and I know Toronto's coming up very soon. So, and we do want to, like I said, have another tournament here tomorrow. I believe it's going to be a bit bigger than today's. So come and try your luck, or, you know, hope for get some critical hits on Ogrepot. No.
League Gaming, baby.
There you go. But we will see you here tomorrow. And congratulations once again to Brian